Hello, everybody, and welcome to Let's Talk About Christianity. I'm Zach, and these are my co-hosts. What's your all's names again?
Oh, I'm
Hi,
Pablo.
Hi, Mike.
Oh,
I'm
hey, Pablo.
Zach.
Wait, I'm Zach. Keith.
Okay.
If I'm Zach, you got to be Keith, and Keith is Pablo.
And
Oh,
who's
okay.
Mike?
Mike.
Yeah.
I don't know who Mike is.
Anyway, yeah, we
Okay.
Imaginary.
okay. So we know who we are. That's all that matters, right?
So,
yeah.
And I'm asking that professionally, Pablo. You know, being the psychologist, as we were just discussing. But you know,
There's Keith's weekly psychologist. Pablo's a psychologist.
We want to welcome
so
you
proud
to this episode of our program. I would tell you what number it was if I knew. Just being honest there. I'll look it up here while we're. Once you get past 100, it's kind of like who's counting.
Unless you get close to 200, then you start counting again.
Well, this is season 3, episode number 18, and this is number 109 overall. 109. So that's
Feels like just yesterday we were filming the 100th episode, and it was hot outside.
It feels like just a week ago we were doing 108, but maybe that's just me. Zach, you are at a fall location.
Changes scenery today. Bankville Lake State Park. We got some good leaves. We got a good number of leaves that have fallen on the ground here. It is completely fall. And I don't know about where you're at, Keith, and I don't know about where you're at, Pablo, but fall's my favorite time of the year. I love fall.
I'm pretty sure Pablo is not experiencing fall right now, but should be getting close to spring. Yeah.
Yes. It doesn't look like spring. It looks like winter.
Yeah.
What's the temperature there today, Pablo?
It's 18. 18.
That's pretty good. That's a good temperature.
Yes. It's fresh.
Yeah. That's all right. We're still very much in summer for a couple more days, and then fall's going to hit us all at once. It sounds like. But it's all good. It's all good. Zach, what's going on there in Paintsville?
Well, you're got the Prestonsburg congregation is finishing up their gospel meeting with Eddie Kraft this week, and other than that, we're pretty much in a dead period until about a month from now, and we'll start picking up doing the things that we usually do for Thanksgiving. We're going to be doing a coat drive. We're going to be doing some different things of that sort this year. I think we're going to be doing something for kind of the homeless population that we do have. We don't have a very big homeless population, but we do have a sizable one if you think about it, which, we don't have a very big one, but it's a sizable one. But we're going to try to do something with beds and some other things. So we're going to try to cater to those needs that people have. So we're going to be doing a lot of benevolent work in October and November. That's what we're going to be trying to focus on. What's going on in Sykeston? Are you back?
I am back in Sykeston. Got back Friday night.
Back. Look at his face. I'm back in Sykeston. Yeah, I'm no longer in.
It was a really good trip down to see Caitlin and last week, awesome. And got to it was hot down there. It was hot up here. It was hot everywhere. As I was driving home on Friday, I spent like 3 days in Alabama on Friday, and between Dothan and really the Mississippi state line, the temperature hovered between 98 and 102. It just kind of, it was really, really hot. And, makes you really thankful for air conditioning. But I've got a story that I think I'm just going to go ahead and tell, because and this has to do with Alabama and Mississippi, but the
Alabama Ole Miss game.
I'll throw in the disclaimer that I don't have a dog in that fight. one way or the other, you know. But I was driving down I-22 out of Birmingham toward Memphis, and I topped one of those hills, and I could see blue lights off in the distance coming toward me on the other side of the interstate. And I thought, that looks like a funeral procession coming down the interstate. You know, that's kind of weird, you know, to have a funeral procession coming down the interstate. And I thought, surely that's not what it is. Well, it turns out I was right. It was the Alabama State Police escorting the Ole Miss football team to Tuscaloosa.
Pablo doesn't get it, but I get it.
Yeah. Pablo,
like, what are you talking about?
That was funny. That was funny. Okay,
Oh,
so
okay.
you can go ahead and laugh.
It's an American joke. It's about football, the real football, Pablo, the real football. But anyway,
yeah.
Don't get into that topic, okay?
No, and like I said, I don't have a dog in that fight one way or the other. I don't particularly care for either one of those teams, and you know, but it's just the way that it is right now. And what's happened to UK?
Basketball season starts in November.
You know what? That is the answer that every Kentucky fan gives every time the football team loses. Basketball season's right around the corner.
Well, and the thing about it is this, Keith. Like last year, I kind of didn't want basketball season to start so early because we were in the middle of a great football season. We were doing wonderful, and now I'm just longing for November 1st. I mean,
But I thought you got most of the same players back, and you know, I thought this was supposed to be a good year.
Benny Snell was our offense. He was our offense last year, and Josh Allen was our defense. That's how that works.
Yeah.
So,
yep,
it is what it is. Maybe we'll turn it around and make a bowl game. Hopefully. How's Missouri doing? I haven't even checked in on them.
After a disappointing loss in game one, they've actually done pretty well. You know, they got a
good quarterback, a new quarterback and a good quarterback too.
Yeah.
So,
we should not have lost game one, but we did, and we've done well since then. Sykeston, let's see. It's like everything in the world is going on this Saturday. There are like 4 or 5 different events going on Saturday. There is Relay for Life that is going on, which we've got several who are heavily involved with that. We've got a kindergarten through 6th grade Devo going on sometime during the day on Saturday, I think from 11 to 2. There is the door knocking day is on Saturday. And
that is this Saturday.
Yes, Saturday.
Yeah.
This Saturday.
And then I've got some stuff going on that is going to limit my participation in all of the above. So some family stuff going on, but and then we've got our gospel meeting coming up here soon. We've got just the October calendar is just stacked. Lots going on in October.
Fall is always the busiest. Like the beginning of fall and the beginning of spring, and then like the middle of summer. That's your 3 busiest times as a congregation. It seems like.
Yeah, and I wish we could change that a little bit.
Yeah, I was going to share a quote with Matt Wallen, who was on the program a while back when he came on and talked about door knocking day and so on and so forth. Well, he made a post on a social media network the other day, and the quote said this: said the world starts next door. And he was talking about the door knocking campaign. And we would encourage each one of you Christians who are members of congregations all around the United States, all around the world, to take a part in that door knocking day, because you really don't realize how many people and how many souls that you can reach just by knocking on a door. And yes, it's scary. And yes, it might be something that you're not comfortable with or really don't want to do. But at the end of the day, sometimes we have to come out of our comfort zone and do some things that we don't want to do in order to fulfill our mission as a Christian. And so we would definitely encourage you to do that. Participate in that day.
I would love to use that as a segue.
Okay.
But I also want to ask Pablo what's going on in Callao.
We will knocking doors on Saturday in Chimbote. Like our church will be there.
There we go.
At least
More
5
door knock.
members. They are on the list. I was invited to a Bible conference in Santa Anita, November 1st. And I'm gonna give a lesson.
Moises.
Moises and Richard.
Very good.
Yes. Then we have the leaders and preachers meeting last Saturday. So we are gonna have now 3 days of Bible conference. We add one more day: Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. That will be December.
December 5th, 6th, and 7th, or something like that.
Yes, so, for the lectureships in Lima.
There's one of our members walking down the walking trail over there. Got her headphones in, not paying any attention. But anyway, okay.
That's it.
Here's my question for the day.
Okay.
And
I love questions for the day.
Pablo, what is it that you say that I'm getting ready to do?
Ranting.
Yes, ranting.
Not the run.
So here's my question.
Okay,
there were a number of things that led me to this, but we go over to John chapter 13 and verses 3, 4, and 5. Jesus, knowing that the Father had given all things into his hands and that he had come from God and was going to God, rose from supper and laid aside his garments, took a towel and girded himself. After that, he poured water into a basin and began to wash the disciples' feet and to wipe them with the towel with which he was girded. Very familiar passage to all of us, and one that, when we talk about this, and we talk about servitude, and but I still haven't gotten to my question. So I might as well just throw it out there. We sometimes, well, okay, first of all, let me say this. When we talk about John 13, 3 through 5, it is always metaphorically. And to prove that, when I was talking with Zach before we began the program, Zach, as soon as I said John 13, 3 through 5, Zach said, "I ain't washing your feet." Well, here's the thing though. Ain't nobody never washed my feet, Zach.
That's right.
And ain't nobody never washed yours. And
so you don't even wash your own feet, Keith?
That's we'll save that for a different episode. But it is all academic as we talk about the washing of feet, because that is not a practice in the world today. It's not a custom. It's not anything that anyone, if you were to wash someone else's feet, I've got my own feelings on it, but if you were to wash someone else's feet, it would be extremely out of place in our society today. And so as we look at, I kind of out here in the open, got to, see who's behind me. As we look at the washing of feet, I think we almost look at it as a luxury. Now for them in their society, that was, it's a completely different discussion, but the washing of feet for us is foreign.
Right. I mean, you can just say quickly on the context of the washing of the feet was they wore sandals and their feet got nasty because they were in all that sand and things of that sort. And so that's just, it was just, their feet were disgusting. And so that would have been considered a kind service. But anyway, yes. Continue.
Yes. Well, when we, just a second here. I gotta, hey!
He's
good.
Like a distracted dog.
Okay?
Oh, here we go. Conversation.
Recording the podcast. See you later.
Sorry.
Oh, okay.
All righty. Hey.
Well, she's had her headphones in, and anyway.
Anyway,
She did acknowledge me, so
that's good. That's good.
Thanks for that, Sandy. But
Yeah.
if she had like turned and saw who it was and then gone, oh, then that would have been really, really awkward. But anyway, do we spend too much time as Christians today looking for feet to wash? Metaphorically.
I thought you'd go a completely different way.
From our perspective of looking at what the washing of feet, and do we spend too much time doing things that don't really matter? Now, in their day and time, they did. But when we look at the washing of feet, we look at it and we're like, what's the big deal? Zach's scratching his head metaphorically.
Yeah, it's metaphorically. It's a tough question, and you went a completely different way. You really threw me for a loop. You went a completely different way than I thought you were going with this. But I like where you're going. What do you think, Pablo? You stumped Pablo too. We're both stumped.
I know. A lot of ideas crossed in my mind now about that time when Jesus was with his disciples and everything that he did, no, at that moment. But continue, Kit. I will.
Well, no, I'm thinking, how do we minister to those who are in need? Because Jesus said that the Son of Man did not come to be ministered unto, but to minister and to give his life a ransom for many. Jesus came to serve. And we as the church, I'm going to make a blanket statement here, and I'm going to say that we as the church today either have forgotten how to serve or we were never serving in the first place.
I think that you could blanket that statement into we've forgotten our purpose, because there's a lot of Christians who have mixed in their minds the purpose of Jesus and the purpose of themselves. And when they should be the same, we should have the same purpose as Jesus Christ has on this earth when he was serving one another. Now, obviously, we're not going to die on a cross, but we're crucified with Christ when we're buried in baptism with him, or we're raised to walk in the newness of life. But we should be imitating Jesus Christ in our life. But a lot of Christians have lost their purpose. And when I say they've lost their purpose, what I mean is if they have forgotten what they need to be doing as Christians. Either they have forgotten or they are neglecting to do what they need to be doing as Christians. And I think serving others and fulfilling the needs of others could possibly be the number one thing that Christians don't do that we need to be doing. And I don't know why that is. It could be.
Well, what really got me started thinking on these lines was I had a discussion with a preacher the other day, and he was telling of a denominational group that had gone into a neighborhood that everybody said a church will never survive in that neighborhood. And they had gone in and they were doing fantastic. And he said that because he had talked to individuals, from that church, and he knew quite a bit about it. But he said that when a new family came into that group, they told them up front, we have 3 expectations of you. Number 1, we expect you to be here. Now, we look at that as being a given. If you're going to be a part of the church, well, you kind of need to be a part of the church. And we look at that as being assumed. They didn't assume it. They let it be known up front. Number 1, we expect you to be here. Number two, they expected them to give. They told them that up front. If a new family was considering joining their denominational group, they told them up front, we expect you to be here, we expect you to give, and number three, we expect you to be busy. And they said, we will help you to find out what you're good at, and we'll put you to work. And I'm looking at that from the perspective of the Lord's church and the mindset that we have today. And you hate to say it, and again, this is a blanket statement, and I don't like making blanket statements, but in a lot of places, in a lot of situations, we make assumptions of all three of those things. And if somebody is here on Sunday morning, we're happy. And we stop right there.
Yeah.
Sí.
And even that, it is assumed, and it's not a what's a good word, a declared expectation.
Right. And I've got some statistics. I was going to throw these out in my morning sermon. So if you're going to be there for my morning sermon, that's Faithful Church Christ just forgets that I'm saying this, but I'm going to tell you some statistics about churches of Christ in the United States. And I was looking at these, and I started to think about what is one of the biggest complaints that members of the church have. And you think about that, and I think one of the biggest complaints people have is the fact, especially ministers, elders, deacons, is the fact that the church is understaffed. And we're not talking about paid staff. We're talking about Christians who aren't fulfilling their purpose. But let me throw these statistics out for you in the churches of Christ. 50% of congregations of churches of Christ, the Lord's church in the United States, have less than 45 people. 39% of congregations in the church have from 45 to 200 people. 8% have 200 to 400 members. 2% have 400 to 600 members. And 1% of congregations of the Lord's church have over 600 members. And they asked these ministers of these congregations, or how many ever ministers they had, and they asked them why they felt they were in that position, in that specific statistical area. And they said, now we're talking about the 50%, the churches that's less than 45. They said that is how many people one person can serve. Think about that for a moment. That's how many people one person can serve. And it's almost come like a blanket obvious statement. Yes, the elder that we have, or the two elders that we have, they're going to carry the congregation. The deacons that we've got, they're going to carry the congregation. The minister that we have, they're going to carry the congregation. And so much is put on their back that it makes it impossible for them to serve every bit of the congregation, or how many ever members that you have. And it's because the church is understaffed, because Christians don't understand their purpose, and they're not fulfilling their purpose as a Christian, which is to serve one another in love.
Well, now I kind of want to bring
where you're going with it.
Yeah, but I want to kind of bring it back around to what we were talking about. There is a difference between serving and serving with a purpose.
Yes.
And it is my firm belief that we as the Lord's church need to find the purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And I know somebody's going to criticize me for saying this, but stop washing feet.
Right.
And I don't mean to take anything away from the example that Jesus gave us there in John 13:3-5. Not at all.
In the context that you're using that statement, it makes complete sense.
But if we are washing feet today, it's to be able to say we washed feet.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And there are so many needs that people have. So many needs that people within the Paintsville congregation, the congregation in Callao, the congregation here at Shady Acres, that genuine needs that they have. And I don't want to see us distracted anymore.
Yep.
Doing the
It's a very-
things that doing things to be seen, or doing things that, you know, have, I don't even know how to say it, you know, but
Right.
let's minister and let's serve the needs that people have, instead of, you know, and okay, fellowship meals. Before you start taking up stones, I love fellowship meals. I love to eat. I love to spend time with my brothers and sisters in Christ. But that is not even coming close to fulfilling a physical need for 99% of the members.
Especially when only 5% show up at fellowship meals.
And in all likelihood, Zach, to go off of what you just said, the ones who are genuinely in need are very likely going to be some of the ones who are not there.
Yeah. Pablo,
So,
what are you thinking? He's got a thought. I can tell. I can see it in his eyes. He has a thought in his mind, in his brain, but I don't know if he's going to get it out of his mouth.
well, he's got 2 minutes to get it out of his mouth.
Into the speaker.
Okay, when we were helping a family in the church and providing food, then we realized that they already had food. They were lying to us. So when we discovered this, some of the people that were helping in this service feel like betrayed. So we tell them, if as we discovered the lie, that put down our service.
Mm-hmm. That's a whole nother discussion. When we start talking about acts of benevolence, and are they really doing what they are designed to do?
Mm-hmm.
Did everybody froze up on me there for a second. Sorry. And maybe that is a discussion that we need to take up some other time.
Very, very good. Very good point, because, you know, a lot of times people don't understand that. And, you know, a lot of times people will take advantage of the church. They'll take advantage of the benevolent work that you're trying to do. And sometimes, like he said, the benevolent work that you were trying to do isn't achieving the purpose that it was designed to do. Okay. So, you know, but that could be a whole part 2. We may do a part 2 to this, because this is such an interesting conversation, and I think it's so important for the church to have.
I hope that we can continue this next week. Okay, so we are out of time. Any final words?
You kid?
Go serve somebody.
All the service, the center is God. That's all.
Well, I got one more.
Okay.
The world starts next door. Go door knocking on Saturday.
There you go. Okay, let's wrap this up for today, and we want to thank you for listening, and thank you for the support that you give us, and we appreciate that more than you know. On behalf of the staff of Let's Talk About Christianity, I love saying that, even though, you know.
Oh, we were supposed to come up with names and.
Oh yeah, we've still got to come up with titles. Yeah. So okay. All right. Yeah, we'll work on that for next week. All right. So Thank you very much. We are out of here. We'll see you next week.
Ciao.